Alright, in this video we're going to go over how to create a hitbox. We're going to be utilizing a notify state. So I'll just start with explaining the difference between a notify and a notify state. So if I come in here, I'm just going to place in a spawn projectile for reference. So we see here in a regular notify, we just have this little start point and that's it. And it has just the name of the notify. Now, what does this mean? Well, this is going to be what we refer to as a fire and forget type of code. In this case, it is fired once and then we just forget about it. It runs its code all contained right here, and that's it. Now with a notify state, it's a little different. We see there's this little start, a little end, and that leads us to have a lot more optionality. We can run code at the start, we can run code at the end, and because we have a definitive start and end, we can run code in between for the duration and length of the state, depending on how long we actually make it. Perfect. So now that we understand that, we can go ahead and just hop into and create a notify. I'm going to go into my effects folder. Effects, create hitbox notify state. That's just a blueprint class. PaperZD notify selected here. We open up, we'll have the on notify tick, and then we're going to need the on notify end. Both of these are found in the overrides. Get rid of this. Perfect. So if you haven't already watched my video over notifies and what they are, a very fun thing about PaperZD is if you do a validity check on the owning instance, if it is not valid, it will show up in here. It will render whatever we would like within the animation source window. And then if it's valid, it would obviously be used in the game world. So off of is valid, we're going to go ahead and make a box trace for objects. The start and end are going to be from the sequence render component, get world transform, transform location, and then we're going to add a variable called center as the location for start and end. Once again, a very nice thing about PaperZD, if you add in variables into your notify or notify state, it will then show up inside of here and allow us to change it within our animation source, which will then be reflected back into the game. Okay, we will get world scale, multiply it by extent, plug that into half size. Transform rotation off of the world rotation, variable box rotation, orientation. I'll quickly mention what the sequence render component is literally just what's rendering this into either here or the world, just for a quick explanation. Okay, object types, you can pull this off and then do make array. We're going to select pawn. Now what that's doing is this is a box trace for objects, and this is the object we're going to look for. You can add multiple, but for this example, we're just going to keep it to pawns as we want to hit and detect only other pawns. In theory, you could start to add in other things, maybe like some world dynamic or like doors type of thing for a bit more of a destructible environment. Actors to ignore. This is going to be from our owning instance, get paper character, root component, get owner. We're going to make that into an array, and then we're going to plug that into actors to ignore. Draw debug type is a variable, ignore self true, line color, and draw time all as variables. That way we can change how we see all of this within our animation source. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to run a branch off of the return value. We can read that here. True if there was a hit, false otherwise. So if we hit something, if we hit a pawn, it will fire true. Otherwise, it will fire false. Out hit, we can pull off here and type in break. Open that up and expand it, and you get access to all of the different hit results. This could be used for all sorts of fancy and specific hit related things, but for now we're going to just worry about the hit actor. You can pull off of it, hit R, and then collapse that to make it a little bit more manageable. If you hear background noise, it's because I've got little cats that are milling around. Okay, so the next thing we want to do, we want to get the team tag of the owning actor. Now, if you haven't already seen, I did a tag overhaul. It should be the last video, and I would recommend watching that, as it was a very necessary overhaul to my tag system to simplify things vastly, mostly for this this specific blueprint. I was running into issues with my own tag system and realized I could really simplify it a lot. So we're getting the team tag over here of our paper character. And then you can go ahead and plug that into a not equals, so just exclamation mark, that is not equal. Then we're going to get the team tag of the hit actor. So hit actor, get team tag. This is utilizing my own interface. If you haven't ever watched that, I would recommend watching that as well. That tag will be plugged into the other of the not equals. Then we're going to get gameplay tags of the hit actor. We still need those. And we're checking if it has the player state dead. We want to make sure that is not true. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually utilize an array. Close out of this real quick. We're going to utilize an array to be able to detect if we've already hit an enemy within our the duration of our state. So inside of here, we're going to have multiple ticks. We're going to have a lot of ticks, and we only want to apply damage once, at least for now. We don't want to apply damage on every tick. Otherwise, if you're applying something like 25 damage every tick and you have, as a very low ball, 10 ticks, you've now applied 250 damage inside of the duration of this hitbox. And that's not good. And if we have increased damage, you could be applying thousands, tens of thousands, and even more damage. So how are we going to get around, not even get around, how are we going to intelligently create a system to identify actors that we have and haven't hit? We're going to use an array. So if you don't know what an array is, it's just a storage, it's a data structure that we can store information in a line. Really quick, I'm going to use this to explain in a second too, but an array will appear like this. You'll start at 0, and then as you add things, it will just be added in a line at every index. So an index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We can store just about anything in an array, and it will be stored one by one, essentially. So in the case of what we want to create an array. I've hid this under a category called runtime. That way, inside of our source, it does not appear as easily. Okay, so the array is going to be of type actor. You could make this PaperZD character, but actor's fine. And then we're going to set it to an array. Now, what we're going to do is add unique, and we're going to add the hit actor. If we hover over here, it's going to say the index. This return integer, what this is right here, is the index of the newly added item, or index none if the item is already present in the array. Now, what does that mean? So I just had a second ago all of these. So we can imagine at index 0, we have stored this big cultist. At index 1, we have stored this regular cultist. And that is what we are doing. When we hit an enemy and we add it to an array, it will just be stored in line. Now, when we add unique, we're going to make sure that this character is only added once. So if for some reason our box trace hits it multiple times, and it'll detect, and it will see, oh, we've already added this, so we do not need to add it again. If you don't do an add unique, this character would get placed here again, and damage would be applied. It's a little bit odd, but this will work really well. And then the next thing about adding unique is if it's already added, like this character is, it will give us a -1. So if we have, let's just clear some stuff out real quick. Let's say we have now come across this character for the first time. We're going to hit it. We'll apply some damage. We're going to hit this guy. And then our notify will run, our notify state will run, and it will detect, run everything. Oh, whoa. Cat almost hit the power button. As I say, our notify state will run, it will detect the hit, and then it's going to try to add this character to the array. And since we're adding unique, it's going to see very quickly that, oh, inside of here, there is not this character already, so we can go ahead and place it inside. Now, like I just mentioned, this -1, while it seems a little odd, this is just a very quick solution and works very well to ensure as soon as we start to have the same character detected, he will not get added into a new spot. It will see, oh, you already have this, return a -1. Do not add it into the array multiple times and apply damage. It's already existent. We do not need to add it again. That's what that -1 is actually doing. It's showing that the character exists in our array, so we don't need to add it again. Okay, so we're going to plug that into an AND. We're also going to plug that in, and that is not equal. So it's checking if we are not part of the same team. So our team tags are not equal. And if we are not dead, and if our character, or if the hit actor is not already in the array. So if all of that's true, perfect. This is a new actor that we have hit, and we are going to apply damage. And that will be, once again, pulling off of hit actor, getting component by class. Component class is our health component that we've made, and then applying damage, base damage as a variable. Perfect. The two remaining things we need to do is actually on the is not valid, add a debug draw debug box. Center will be center, extent line, and so on. So that way we will see this box appear within our source. And the final thing we need to do is actually come into the on notify end and clear our hit actors. So with this hit actors being a regular variable, it is stored within the instance, which would make, if we don't clear our hit actors array, it would make so a character can only have damage applied once. So when our notify state ends, we want to make sure to clear out any actors that we've already hit. That way we will be able to apply damage to them again. Okay. And over here, you might see I have a damage type class. That is not necessary, now that I notice that. Okay. Now we can go ahead and add this into a character. Let me just hop into a character that I've never... Oh, I don't even have this character even slightly built. That's fine. We'll just use this as an example. Okay, so we can go into our notify. You can add a track if you need. From there, oh, that's a weird bug. Okay, From there, we can add notify state, create hitbox. This is where you're going to have to line things up. You can use the track to find when the attack starts. I'm going to change this one to red to better demonstrate it. And we can find when it ends. Now, the convenient thing about this is we could actually add in multiple. So I could add in another hitbox. And maybe that's what I'll do for here. We'll add in another hitbox for this final little up swipe. So I need to find where that ends. Kind of ends like right here. And now this is where it's going to be a little bit difficult, is actually drawing it. So our draw debug, will only appear when the playback device has hit it while it's running. And therefore, we're going to have to play a little bit of an eyeballing game. I've really tried to find a better solution, but this is what seems to work best. So we can increase it some. We'll start with just that. I'll probably move it to the right about 10, up about 20. We'll say it's like 15. We'll decrease its extent. Now we want it at 10. We'll decrease this extent. And then I'll actually move it to the left a bit. Increase the extent to about, that's too much. About 6. And then lower it down just a titch. And there we go. Now we have 2 hitboxes. I can apply, we'll say 25 damage on here and 50 damage on here. Let me compile this. Anytime you add or remove variables, you'll need to make sure you compile for them to properly show or remove from here. This draw time would let us see these boxes for longer if we need. And that should be everything. So now we have all of this drawn in, and it will be created, and we can actually, for one frame, this will allow us to see it inside of the game. Oh, I don't apply as much damage anymore, and this guy's going to keep killing me. I was testing something. Get rid of him. Now when I attack, we can see both of those hitboxes appear, and they're going green because I am getting a hit. So there we go. Very nice. That should be it for this video. This might be the last video of this series for now. Anything in the future would be a little bit more complicated of systems, but for now I'm going to make a new series going over AI. So I will see you in those videos.